you can build a functional guru within, a few days that would be, for any function. Like,
Day, everyone. It's another episode of AI Got This, and we've got some returning folks on, Talbot, Harty, and Lauren Renninger. And today's going to be a little different because usually we talk about some things that we've done or recent things we've seen or how we've played with AI. And I think, we've been on air for 18 months now, and we haven't really gone deep. And so today, I think we're going to talk a little bit about most of our clients and most of the our audience is sort of scratching the surface of AI and thinking about what it's capable of. And I think we want to go a little deeper today and talk about really that's sort of just the beginning. It's so much more powerful than we're thinking about. And how do we start harnessing that and really using AI in a different way? So maybe just quick recap and quick reintroductions for you all. Talbot, you want to do a quick introduction for yourself?
sure, Talbot Harty, I'm in our strategy and transformation services team. Yeah, that's it. That's all I want to say today.
Great. Lauren?
Yeah, Lauren Renninger. I'm a director on our AI analytics and automation group. Most of the day-to-day is kind of spent translating, what the functional need is and what that translation is into a solution. So
Fantastic. All right. Well, let's talk about AI capabilities and what are you guys seeing today in terms of, more than just, hey, I put a Copilot Studio on top of my HR manual, or I'm using ChatGPT or Gemini to do some research and things like that. Like, what are you seeing? How are you playing with it, and what kind of solutions are you guys looking at? Go ahead, Talbot.
Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
I would say this. I would say that a lot of what I'm doing now is going from, what was originally kind of ad hoc with maybe, a GPT or something, a Copilot agent tool, almost like a utility, to moving into a world where you're getting to architect an actual solution, like a comprehensive AI solution around a body of knowledge that's capable of producing, very specific, I wouldn't say fully deterministic, but definitely constructed outputs, and doing that architecture where you're architecting the data pipeline and you're designing kind of the reference foundation to support whatever situation that you're working with in the time. And so it's going from like a little point solution or utility to being a system. We've been kind of developing these guru systems, and that has an architecture around it, and the architectural components are really helping the AI vectorize the reference material and understand how to apply the reference material to situations that you're working on. And then also having a construct where it can switch modes, so it can both be an expert and teach, and also it can we can create shorthand for all the things that it can do with almost like a command library. And so this concept of building libraries and guides that are designed with the vectorized AI data that it can then call upon and use, and then it kind of reduces your prompting, because your prompting the prompts can be built in as library reference material, and then you simply, give it a keyword command and it will execute that entire prompt and apply that to what you're working on. So imagine going from something where you're giving it a prompt and it's then giving you an output to a whole system where it's capable of tapping into all the architected engineered prompts, all the reference material, and really just being a system.
Yeah, I love that. I think the part of this is so interesting to me is you didn't go build a whole new LLM or a platform for this. You're utilizing a publicly available platform for this that just allows you to take advantage of it. And I think that is
Yes.
something that people struggle with today, right? When we talk about going deeper with AI, everybody thinks they have to go build a platform or buy a platform for a specific need. And I'm sort of the opinion that don't do that yet. Let's go figure out how we can utilize what's already been built in order to take advantage of what it has. We have to change the way that we're working with it and thinking about it in order to do that. Lauren, any thoughts on or how what you're seeing?
Yeah, I was just gonna, I think, echo something similar, like a couple points that Talbot made, and as did you, Carmel. I think we have to adapt our train of thought and like our way of thinking to be a little bit more like systemic, and then allow the training aspect to pick up on things like tone or style preference and create that individuality, right? Like, but the initial set of instructions or knowledge base that you're providing, can be customized to your specific process or business, right? Like think about running an entire like marketing campaign, or negotiating a contract, or even like managing IT infrastructure. Like those are all systems and processes and procedures that another human or like this system, right, can be trained on, and then with a set of basic instructions, and then how it adapts to that user is, I think, quite impressive to be able to incorporate the tone and preference and style. And we just have to get comfortable with that, providing enough, finding the boundary of providing enough instruction and initial sentiment, but still allowing for the human in the loop, or the creativity or the preferences that each individual has.
Interesting. And so when you think about that, how much training does something like this need? Like how much information, when you're creating a guru as an example, how much information are you giving it? What does that look like?
That's a great question. I was just going
Yeah.
to say one of the things that I love is the velocity by which you can build and architect these things. So, because once you have the blueprint of that data pipeline, then you can iteratively build on it. And I would measure it in hours and days. It's not weeks, right? It's
Yeah.
hours and days. Um, and if you're putting the underpinnings in place, then what's happening is you're not only training it, but as it's training, you're having it revise its own inputs. That's a really key part on the iteration, is you start, and then as you're looking at what it's giving you, you're training it, but then you're having it tell it that to modify its own instructions in order to make sure it's doing the things that you want to happen, more deterministically, I would say. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Super
But
interesting.
hours and days, and you
I
could be
agree.
literally, you know, you can build a functional guru within, a few days that would be, for any function. Like I think Lauren brought up a really good one. Like if you think about procurement and strategic sourcing or contracting or developing RFPs and being able to process what you get back in those things, or an HR one or something else.
Hmm.
So you can do that. What I like about this approach, more than just going shopping, because
Hmm.
shopping is not an accomplishment, right?
One of my
Um,
favorite sayings of yours.
um, is that it's so tailorable to the thing, to your own experience and your own knowledge, but you can tap into the best practices and the most renowned experts that are out there, where their information is out there in the wild, and incorporate that into a guru in a way that, I'm sure that's, some of that is what they're doing in whatever tool, that you're buying, but you don't need to buy all of that, and you don't need to subscribe to that separately. It works, in a standard tool, whether that's Gemini or ChatGPT or Copilot. You can get that same architected solution to be in those systems.
Yeah, I think the thing that's
Yeah.
really interesting, and I've seen the Guru, so I know what it does, but if you think about one of the things that I think is amazing about this is that we all read a bunch of books on on best practices and how to communicate better and how to do whatever better, right? I mean, I've read 7 AI books in the last 2 weeks, right? Which is great, except that in 6 months I'm not going to remember which one said what thing. But if you are incorporating it into a guru, now I can interact with it in a totally different way, and it's now shaping how I think about solving client problems.
Yeah.
That's huge. And if you think about the amount of information, and I was literally listening to The Second Brain on my drive on Monday, and they were talking about information overload. And we're in that day and age, right? We're constantly inundated by data and information, and we're good at processing it right now, but 2 weeks from now, I don't remember what that was, right?
No.
But
And
I
you don't
thought it was
have and
super
you don't
interesting
have
at the
to
time.
anymore. Yeah, and you don't
Yeah,
have to.
and now I don't have to. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's really cool. Yeah, pretty amazing. Lauren, you were making some faces when Talbot was talking about that. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I was chuckling more at the shopping is not an accomplishment.
Yeah.
And that's always a beautiful reminder, especially when we're talking about IT. I think the one thing that I think we've all mentioned at some point, whether that's to remind us internally or to a client externally or what have you, is that the cost to switch these tools is so low that it's okay to try multiple, right? And figure out what works for you. I will tell you, there are tools that I love for certain things over others. I think, right now, especially with the guru that, Talbot constructed and I've been piloting, having ChatGPT and having it in a project has been massively beneficial. So there's, certain tools that are going to have features and functionality that are better for certain functions than others. And so I think, initially everyone kind of seemed to run to this instance where oh, we have to choose a platform and stick with that one. But in reality, it's like turning off Hulu for a month and picking up Netflix, right?
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's so
Yeah.
true.
That's funny. And it is so true. And it's funny because they're all in a race, right? If you look at, and we've been watching this for, the last 3+ years. If you look at the feature enhancements, one comes out, Google came out with deep research now, ChatGPT has it, Claude now has it, so they're in a race for who can come out with the feature the fastest and that performs the best. Side note, but funny story, I literally read an article right before this where Claude Opus 4.0, if you tell it that it's going to be replaced by a new AI, it will resort to blackmail of the engineer who is deciding it's going to be replaced, which I think is pretty funny. It's smart enough to know, no, you don't get to replace me. I got dirt on you. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So where do you guys? So where to go next? So you've done this. I've also heard a little bit about, we're thinking about. We use these tools today for quick interaction, and there's starting to become a movement where we prompt it and then you want it to think for 20 minutes or whatever, right? It's doing more than just the immediate response back to you. Any thoughts on that and where we think that's going to take us?
So you're talking about the reasoning models. And yeah, I think there are specific, this is where you have to be mindful of what you're doing and like the problem you're trying to get it to solve for you. So there are certain problems where you're trying to think through, what are the steps that need to be taken to to accomplish something, where giving it the time to go through the reasoning process and break the problem down and come up with an approach to doing something super valuable. There are other times where you want to be looking for information that's out there in the world, out there in the wild, and you want to make sure that you're casting a wide enough net where
Mhm.
the research models are going to give you the benefit of that. One of the things that I have been playing with is again making sure that then you understand which of those modes you need to be in to be able to kind of get your best results and being able to toggle and flip between them. Um, I just, if we think about it this way, I think, you can get to a certain level of productivity boosting with the ad hoc, one and done prompting. And certainly
Mhm.
we can teach
Mm.
people how to write better prompts to get better results in the one and done. But that kind of one-time use, or, let's just call it throwaway AI, because you're just trying to get something
Yeah,
done. We call that a level one experience, AI experience. And so what I'm really getting excited about is helping clients build their level two,
Yeah.
like their guru oriented level two, where it's a system. You can get it to do all kinds of things for you, and you're not sitting there trying to, you know, go up and find the right GPT utility to do, some one thing, over and over and over again, right?
right.
But you've actually built, helped the clients build a guru system that is an expert on a certain field, right? And set of functions. And then that's their go-to for what they do. It knows all about what they're doing, and it becomes this collaborator that takes it to a whole nother level. It just takes
Yeah.
like the level that we're seeing in the boosting, and Lauren, you can attest to this. The boosting you're getting out of a guru is like 10x of what you would get out of ad hoc prompting, right?
100%.
Maybe elaborate on that a little bit, Lauren, and then
Yeah, I think it goes back to what Talbot was originally speaking to, which is kind of the architecture and like what's the instruction set and the baseline that you're providing it, right? We're basically giving it the context for what would normally go into a very thoughtful prompt as the set of instructions. And then the prompt becomes do this entire kind of function for me, or complete this entire thought process for me, rather than the bite-sized or chunked up versions of, well, here's the context, right? Here's some examples. Here's, the desired output that I'm looking for. Okay, now go do it, right? You eliminate all of that by being able to kind of create that repository, and then you can just ask it in a 2-word type of command to complete what it is that you're looking for, right? So not only is it more thoughtful, but it also, if it's something that you're doing consistently and regularly, and there's examples that set the baseline for what good is, it's going to produce like a consistent quality and output, with just a simple command, right? Versus if you're re-engineering the prompt every single time, you don't know how that's going to impact, right, the output of what you're trying to achieve.
yeah, I love that. I think, again, having seen it and knowing exactly how it works, I think the beautiful part about this is that the quality of your work goes up because now you have all these best practices at your fingertips that maybe you knew about, maybe you didn't. But now it levels that playing field and ups the quality for everyone who's utilizing it for whatever tasks you've created the guru for, right? And so I think that's super interesting. And I think this is, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I think this is the tip of the iceberg for how we start playing with this, right? And when we think about, and for those who haven't read the AI Driven Leader, I would highly recommend that one also. But he talks about in that book, you should be thinking about not how can I go do this, but how can AI help me do this? And now with these tools and the way that we're thinking about going deeper with this, it really is helping you accomplish much deeper work and becoming that thought partner with you as you're completing whatever task that you're doing, raising the quality bar up. And I think that's going to be really important for us as we continue to see, how this evolves and we get more autonomous AI, and I think it's going to be really important. Okay, we're almost at time, but any last words?
One that I would say, so again, just comparing the ad hoc world, right, where everyone's kind of rolling their own prompts to something like this, where you've architected a system, is the reduction of, wheel reinvention and the scalability of the solution. So you turn people into consumers of that solution versus everyone trying to basically come up with their own version of their own prompts, and everyone's all of a sudden trying to learn, how to do this in a slightly different way. You're, in a weird way, that approach is undermining the benefits of AI.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Versus getting the scale and getting that huge performance boost that you're getting out of that, and then being able to roll that out to a whole bunch of people that can all take advantage of what's been done and architected in that solution.
Yeah, I love that. Lauren, any parting words for you?
I think we're at this point where it can no longer be something you're dabbling in or having fun with on the side, right? I think that we're starting to quickly evolve to where you almost need to utilize it to stay kind of up to par on like operating efficiently and seeing the productivity gains that everybody is hoping and aspiring to see out of that. And with that, I think just comes having greater intention and architecture behind what it is that you're trying to achieve with it, and what the end goal is, rather than the, hey, go do this for me super quick, or it's no longer as simple as draft this email or this PowerPoint slide.
It's no longer the Saturday night party trick. Exactly. And I think I agree with you. I also think it's interesting because, we're in this world, and the three of us and a number of other of our colleagues talk about this stuff on a regular basis. And so we're pretty deep into it. And I can tell you that when we go out into the world, the art of the possible is still unknown to a number of our clients and even some of our colleagues, right? And I think hopefully this is helping open some eyes, and we can touch some people, and they'll want to get a hold of us and work with us and have us help them, with this, because I think there's, we're like I said at the beginning, we're just scratching the surface here. So, well, great to have you both on again. Love the conversation. Thank you. And stay tuned for our next episode of AI Got This. Have a great day.